So I wanted to talk a little bit about this recent divorce. I'm sure most of you have heard it with Meagan Good and Devon Franklin, their divorce. I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I've been reflecting on that, and there's some things that I wanted to talk to you about. Maybe they might be able to add some value to the quality of your life. Maybe there might be some things that you want to think about. So one of the things that I was thinking about as I was reflecting on their divorce is about the fact that my sisters have this saying where my sisters say, Kasim, um, comparison is a thief of all joy. And I've never really forgot my sister saying that. I remember when my sister Rona once said that to me, and I never really forgot it because it is very, very, very true. So many of us look at other people and we think that they're doing amazing, we think that they're so happy, we think that they're so successful. But really, many times, a lot of people have a facade up. What you see on the outside is not a reflection of actually what is happening on the inside. Um, the amount of people who I've had in my own life where I've gone out with friends of mine and have been having banter and we've been having a great time, and I've seen them week after week after week, and then I find out like randomly in one week that they are depressed, that they're feeling suicidal, that they've been fired from their job, that they're in debt. I remember this one guy came up to me and he said to me, one of my friends, and he came up to me and he said to me, Kasim, I'm really struggling at the moment because I'm in love with a woman, and she's asked me if I would adopt her child. And I don't want to adopt her child. And the issue is, she said to me that um, she doesn't want to have any more children. But I love her. So what do I do? Do I accept her and adopt a child that isn't mine and take the child on as mine and everything, or or do I just leave her? And the thing about this couple is they looked so happy on the outside. Like if you'd seen them and you'd met them, you would be like, oh my god, they're the perfect couple. They're always having banter. They get each other. As people, they were really compatible. But there was all this drama going on the outside, and then on the inside, sorry. And then on top of this, he then said to me, Kasim, I really wanted to get your advice on something, because I know you're a non-judgmental person. And he goes to me, Kasim, I'm in debt, but the thing is I can't tell her that I'm in debt because she thinks I've been saving loads of money so that we can buy a house. And I've been on Skybet trying to get the money back, and every time I put the money, I get even further into debt. And when you see them, they were always going to the pub. He had a really nice car. Like everything on the outside looks so wonderful and so perfect. Yet um, everything on the inside was actually decaying. They had loads of problems. So I guess one of the first things that I would get you to really think about in your own life is think about the fact that whilst many times you may look at other people and you envy them and you're jealous of them and you think, oh my god, they're so lucky and they've got it so good, most of the time they haven't, right? And then a lot of people who you see who are successful or who are there and they've got congruence, right? There's a congruence between how they're actually the outside of them is and actually how the inside of them are. You've got to remember that people are rewarded in public for what they've practiced for years in private. So a relationship, let's just talk about relationship in this sense. A person who's got a relationship they've been together for 15 years and they've got abundance, they've got joy, they've had ups and downs. That relationship didn't just arrive like that, right? That couple usually went many times. I mean, I've sat in front of couples who have been married for 15 years or more, hundreds of times now, and the amount of times people say to me, yeah, but Kasim, you weren't there when we went through marriage counseling. Yeah, but Kasim, you weren't there when I was sleeping in a hotel room for 2 weeks because we were so upset at each other. Yeah, but Kasim, you weren't there when I was struggling with mental health, and we didn't know whether I was even going to make it, and I was feeling suicidal, right? And so actually, a lot of the time, yes, of course, you can be jealous and you can look at other people to compare whereabouts you are and how you're doing, but be careful of that. Don't be so envious, because what you may be envious of, you haven't seen what it's taken to get to that point. So that's the first thing that I was thinking about. Second thing that I was thinking about is around pre-marriage counseling. You know, I cannot over sell the importance of marriage counseling, because so many people go into a marriage and they go into long term, even if it's cohabiting, they go into cohabiting because they've decided that they don't want to get married, they don't want to spend the money on a wedding, but they absolutely love each other and they already live with each other and they have a mortgage with each other. Everything is as if they're married, they just haven't got the marriage certificate, right? And I always say to couples, you want to be really careful, because the reality of life is, and we're just talking figures here, you know, in the UK, you're looking at somewhere between 40 and 50% of marriages end in divorce, right? So the chances are not in your favor. It isn't like the chances of you not divorcing are like 90-10 or they're 80-20. The chances are half and half. You could be one of the lucky ones and one of the anomalies and one of the outliers who ends up being together for the next 30 years. But at the same time, the odds are that you could also end up splitting up and getting divorced, right? And we're only looking at the figures here. And here's the thing that I've come to realize in my own life, because I've had the privilege of talking to so many different people. The thing that I've noticed is that everybody thinks they're the outlier. Everybody thinks they're the anomaly. Everybody thinks that they're not going to be the one to break up. I'm telling you that, you know, if you were somebody who was a registrar, or you were somebody who did the wedding ceremony at weddings, or you were somebody who did wedding photos at a wedding, and you get to speak to loads of couples, right? And you get to see this wonderful memory. But the reality of them is, if you ask all of these individuals who are getting married, do you think that there's a chance that you're going to get divorced? Or do you think that there is a chance that you two are going to split up? Most couples are going to say no. But the reality is that the figures themselves, right, the facts speak differently. So therefore, not everybody can be an outlier. Not everybody can be special. Not everybody can be the one who makes it, right? And so I really, really encourage everybody, if you can go to marriage counseling, it will so greatly help you, because you're going to talk about things that you haven't even realized might be problems. That's the great thing about marriage counseling, right? You get to talk about things that you don't even realize are issues. For example, one of the questions that you ask somebody is, and is a common question that I ask couples, is what is the purpose of you two being together? What is the bigger purpose? Because if you don't have a bigger purpose or of being together, of getting married, and you hit tribulation and you hit a roadblock, why would you stay together, right? I remember I was listening to this guy and he was saying that marriages that last a long time have like 4 pillars. So if you can think of like a chair, and a chair has 4 different what do you call them, pillars or legs, 4 different legs. A chair is much more stable when it has 4 different legs than if a chair has 3 different legs. And of course, it's a lot less stable if it has two legs. And a lot of people, when they get married or they're living together or they're choosing a long-term partner, they tend to choose based on one stool, one leg, one area where the person excels, and they don't have balance in all the other areas, meaning things like sexual compatibility, meaning values, meaning lifestyle, meaning similar vision and goals for their life, meaning they have similar saving habits, meaning that they work on themselves or don't work on themselves, or they're both spiritual, or they're both into self-development. Essentially, the more legs that you have in your relationship, the much more stable the relationship becomes. And so you want to look at your relationship or yourself and ask yourself, how many legs does our relationship actually have? Because the less legs your relationship has, then the less of a chance it has when it hits tribulation, when it hits a roadblock. And one of the things that I hear people say is, Kasim, no, we don't argue, you know, we're not going to ever go through a rough patch. And I always say to people, that's very naive, because you have to. There's no way you can have two people who have grown up in completely different neighborhoods, completely different life, completely different parents, and the two of them not hit some kind of roadblock. Life is too unpredictable that you have to have hit some roadblock at some point. The thing that I say to people is, if you haven't hit any roadblocks, don't worry, they're coming, right? So don't you concern yourself with that. They're gonna come, um, you know. So it's just something that I was thinking about. Really, the importance of marriage counseling. Marriage counseling really, really, really helps you, right? It is you will is you know, and this is actually one of the things that I think as a man you're gonna have to really go through, because as a man you're going to have to make a decision between, do you marry a woman who there are red flags but you don't want to pay attention to the red flags, get married and then suffer the consequences of divorce, or go through marriage counseling, deal with the red flags, and you could potentially lose a woman who you thought was the one. But then you're going to have to deal with all the repercussions of the fact that you've now got engaged, you've asked her to be engaged, and everybody's going to be disappointed at you. And this is one of the decisions as a man you have to make. You know, if you go to pre-marriage counseling, a lot of people who go to pre-marriage counseling decide they don't want to get married to this person, because so they discover things that they didn't realize about this person. They go to marriage counseling, and the woman is expecting the woman is saying to the man that I'm not going to be going to work when we have kids. And the man is expecting that she's going to be continuing to work. The man says to the woman that he wants 5 kids. The woman's like, I'm not having 5 kids, I only want 2 kids, or I only want 1 kid. And then all of a sudden, these are deal breakers, and people had never even considered them. So it's just something for you to think about. The other thing which is actually linked to that is that the length of a relationship does not mean knowledge of your spouse. Just because you've been with somebody for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, it doesn't mean that you know them inside out. One of the things that I hear people talk about all the time is, she should know what I want, Kasim. She should know what I eat. She should know what I wouldn't like. She should know what is my preference. And the reality is, of course, there are some things that are laws, that are principles about all of us that just stay the same, right? But a lot of the elements of human beings are malleable, right? We are plastic. There is a plasticity in all of us as people. And the reality of life is, when we get into a relationship with somebody, we should be molding, we should be changing. As we learn more about each other, and we encounter problems and we solve those problems, we should be changing our goals. We should be refining our philosophies about parenting, about marriage, about our sex life, about our vitality and health, right? For example, you might get together and have never even considered having life insurance, but now you've got kids, you've just realized, actually, I'm probably going to need to get life insurance, which means I'm going to now have to make a choice between, do I get pet insurance or do I get life insurance for myself in case, God forbid, something ever happens to me. And these are the kinds of things that you're going to have to change about yourself. You know, you might be the kind of person, when you get together with your partner, at the beginning of your relationship, your partner wasn't as open sexually because they just weren't in that. They just weren't. But as they've known you and they've trusted you more, they would like to explore other elements of your sex life. And that's just and you've just presumed all this time that they just like doggy, or they want sex in a certain way. And so your job is to keep up with this, right? Is to keep inquisitive and keep questioning your partner. And it's just something that I was thinking about as I was thinking about this divorce with Meagan and DeVon. The last thing that I was thinking about is that, and I talked a little bit about this, which is that you have to make your relationship bigger than both of you. Earlier on I said that the more legs you have in your relationship and the more pillars that you have, the stronger your relationship is, particularly when it comes to adversity. But to take that even further, I think that one of the main problems as to why so many people end up not overcoming the problems that they've got in their relationships is because people haven't made the relationship bigger than them, right? Meaning that the relationship that you have in your life should not be the main drive, it should not be the main aspect of your life. Meaning your missus shouldn't be the center of your life. There is, I think that we're living in a world today where we want our spouse to be our absolutely everything. They have to be our confidant, our best friend, our perfect partner, our lover, our everything, our best friend, all of it. And it's kind of like, hold on a minute. We're asking one person to do what a village used to do, and one person can't do all of those things. And I think that, if you can use your marriage or you can use your relationship as a way to improve the next generation, to show people what love can be like, to show people what two people can come from and where they can go to, that gives you, I don't know, it heightens, it gives you your relationship a certain vibrancy, a certain energy, a certain momentum. It anchors both of you in such a way which you can't do when you're simply just together because you love each other. Love is not the answer to longevity in long-term relationships, right? In fact, I was reading something that was saying that actually flexibility is one of the is one of the indicators to longevity in a long-term relationship. So if you can, what I would share with you, and again, this is your life, so you got to do whatever you want, and it's your relationship. But I believe if you will look at yourself and you will make your relationship even bigger than both of you, I think it can be, you could do an amazing thing. I think your relationship could absolutely sparkle. I think you could do absolutely amazing things. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. Comment below, send me a message. I'd love to hear whether you agree or what you've taken away from this whole Meagan and DeVon Franklin divorce.